Hi everyone, Please the Knee Vote Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well, and it is time for a review of the new Anna von Hausswolff record, All Thoughts Fly. This is a brand new LP of tracks from singer, composer, songwriter, and especially organist Anna von Hausswolff. It has now been a few years since the release of her shadowy neoclassical dark wave epic, PostDead Magic. This was one of those projects too that really opens up an artist's fan base, makes waves, sometimes even dictating the direction of a career, because once you've hit upon a sound that is so well received, how could you not answer the call to meet your audience's expectations the next time around? But it's important to remember Anna's been releasing music for like a decade now, and she has a pretty established and versatile discography up until this point. So it should be no surprise that post-PostDead Magic, Anna is diving headfirst into an instrumental LP that orbits around the pipe organ. The instrument has been the anchor of multiple Hausswolff releases so far. Now the focus becomes even sharper for 7 tracks and 44 minutes. The 7 pieces on this thing vary quite a bit in terms of length and intensity, starting with the introductory track Theater of Nature, whose first leg I genuinely love, luring the listener in with these curious, prancing organ phrases. Then underneath that we have these slowly intensifying tones and drones, growing. It's quite a display of texture, timbre, and atmosphere. The piece is 6 minutes long, but it feels like it unfolds even faster than that, though I'm not entirely smitten with the evolution of it. The unique musical phrases we're presented with in the first moments of the track are slowly overtaken by these tones that are just smothering them. The transition here, I wish it felt more fluid rather than one idea just T-boning another into oblivion and then taking the track's momentum and carrying it from there. The following track has a clearer, more linear but typical progression. The piece sounds like an emotionally intense section of a classic Godspeed album, something along those lines, but without much of these tracks here connecting on a macro level. The tension it builds doesn't really go anywhere as the piece ends. Third track, Sacro Bosco, is a more abstract drone piece with hissing air, groaning bass, some eerie whistles too. The whole thing sounds like a gigantic robot made of steel and bolts and a steam engine slowly coming to life. Then the piece suddenly starts to build up with some higher organ tones, a mash of swirling arpeggios that are pretty heavenly too. To an extent, this is another moment where I wish the changes of the piece were introduced more gradually, but when it is at its thickest, the display of sound is incredible. It feels like just heavenly light shining down, covering me, blinding, covering everything. Persephone features another post-rock friendly progression, but this time around we're getting even higher highs than we were on the second track. The chord progression here is so powerfully forlorn. All the growing layers of the piece intensify really nicely to the point where it's hard to gauge just how quickly it's all elevating. Then entering is a somewhat interesting transitional moment on the project. It sounds like a handful of different ideas from previous tracks on the record just blended together very chaotically, but it's so blurry and presented in a way that is so atmospheric. It's like I'm having a dream about some stuff that I had just heard. The opening organ phrases from the starting track definitely stand out. It's a reprise of sorts. Then we have the 12-minute title track, which for the record is a massive statement. Really kind of distills not only Anna's skills on the organ, but also what draws her to it as an instrument. Its textures, its power to create such immense ambience. Throughout the piece, she is just throwing out one mesmerizing phrase of cascading notes after another. The whole first half of this piece is like an endless shower of flower petals falling around me in every direction. But when we hit the final leg of the piece, that is when she starts throwing in all of these bass notes, and they overwhelm to the point where it is almost oppressive. Whew. She really did save some of the best and most hard-hitting sounds on this project for its final moments, because this is a seriously transcendent moment. I suppose the closing track is kind of like a calm after the storm of sorts. We have another slow-moving set of chords with a build, a lot of added noise and distortion that brings the piece this sad desolation I like quite a bit. And overall, I found found All Thoughts Fly to have a simple but powerful sound. Sure, this does not feature some of Anna's best or most direct compositions or songs, but there's still a deep emotional wealth to the material Anna's handed over here. Feeling a light 7 on this one, Tran. Zishin, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe. Please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Anna von Hausswolff, forever.